You're inviting evil into your home, and you don't even realize it. Maximilian Kolbe uncovered something terrifying. Two seemingly innocent behaviors, things you do every day without suspecting the danger. He tried to warn the world. Few listened. Now you will understand why. What I'm about to reveal might shock you, but you need to know that your spiritual protection depends on it. The first behavior that attracts malevolent spirits, the one that haunts me the most. Kolbe called it an open door to the soul. You do this when you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you're stressed. It's so common, it seems natural, but it's not. It's constant complaining, the daily murmuring against God, against life, against people. Stop for a moment. Think about what you said today. How many times did you complain about traffic, about work, about family, about the weather? Kolbe observed something disturbing in the concentration camps. The prisoners who complained the most were the ones who suffered the most. Negative influences, as if something invisible fed on their bitter words. Have you noticed? People who complain excessively seem surrounded by a heavy fog, a suffocating energy that contaminates. It's no coincidence. Each complaint is like a crack in your spiritual protection, a silent invitation to forces you shouldn't attract. Kolbe wrote in his letters, words of resentment open breaches in the soul, like wounds that won't heal. Through these breaches, things enter that shouldn't be there. He described it this way: constant complaining creates a resonance of discontent, a specific vibrational frequency that malevolent spirits recognize from miles away, like sharks sensing the smell of blood in the water. When you complain about traffic for the 10th time this week, when you murmur against your boss every day, when you constantly criticize life, you're sending a signal, a call, a message that says, here is someone dissatisfied, someone vulnerable, someone ready to be influenced. But there's a second behavior, even more dangerous, more subtle, more destructive. Kolbe discovered it by observing his fellow prisoners, good men, devout men, who suddenly changed, became different, shadowy. What he saw left him in a state of shock. It was envy disguised as righteous indignation. The constant comparison with others, the feeling that life has been unfair specifically to you. You know that feeling? When you see someone prospering, and you think, why him and not me? Why is she lucky and I'm not? Why does God bless others and forget me? Kolbe realized. Something terrifying. This feeling wasn't merely human. There was something behind it, something that whispered, that encouraged, that rejoiced in every bitter comparison. Do you feel this sometimes? That inner voice that says, you deserved more, you were wronged. Others don't deserve what they have. That voice is not yours. Envy is like a spiritual magnet. It attracts exactly the kind of influence you least want in your life. Malevolent spirits feed on this feeling. They grow with it. They strengthen themselves through it. Kolbe described in his writings, envy creates a specific vibrational frequency, like a radio frequency tuned to the wrong channel, the channel of darkness. But what's more disturbing, Kolbe discovered that envy acts like a spiritual GPS for malevolent spirits. They can locate an envious person even in a crowd, as if she emitted a dark glow, visible only to them. Worse yet, envy doesn't just attract malevolent spirits, it feeds them. Each moment of envy is like a meal for these entities. They grow stronger, bolder, closer. How many times today did you feel envy? It might have been subtle, a small discomfort seeing someone else's happiness, a pang of irritation with someone's success, small moments that opened great portals. Now you must be wondering, how did Kolbe know this? How can a saint understand so much about the dark side of spirituality? The answer will surprise you. Kolbe wasn't just a saint, he was a spiritual warrior, an expert in battling darkness. He studied the enemy to defeat it. In the camps of Auschwitz, he had access to something few saints have had: direct contact with evil in its purest form. He saw how hatred, how despair, how resentment attract dark forces. But he also discovered something revolutionary. The solution is not just to avoid these attitudes, it's to replace them with something specific, something powerful. Do you want to know what the antidote is? What really protects against malevolent spirits? Kolbe developed a method, 2 practices that function as spiritual shields, tested in the darkest place on earth, approved in the laboratory of extreme suffering. The first practice, the one that saved the spiritual lives of hundreds of prisoners. Kolbe called it the inversion of complaint. It works like this. For every complaint you want to make, replace it with a thank you, however small, however forced it may seem. Traffic stopped? Thank God for the cars, because it means there are people working, people alive, people with dreams. Difficult work? Thank God for having a job. When millions are unemployed. Complicated family? Thank God for having a family. When so many are alone? Seems simple. It is. But Kolbe discovered something impressive. Each genuine thank you closes a spiritual breach. Each gratitude is like welding the soul. Malevolent spirits can't get close to someone who constantly gives thanks. Gratitude creates a vibrational frequency that naturally repels darkness. But there's a second practice, even more powerful. The specific antidote to envy. Kolbe observed that the prisoners who suffered the most were those who compared their suffering to that of others, who envied even their companions' food, who fought over scraps of hope. So he created something extraordinary, the practice he called rejoicing in the good of others. Whenever you feel envy towards someone, offer a prayer asking for more blessings for that person, genuinely, from the heart. Seems impossible. Kolbe tested it on himself. When he saw a Nazi guard treating another prisoner well, when he saw companions receiving letters from family, when he saw others being released, he prayed, asking for more blessings for those people. The result was miraculous. The envy simply disappeared, like fog in the morning sun. More than that, Kolbe discovered that this practice created an almost impenetrable spiritual shield, as if guardian angels were attracted by this attitude. Can you imagine the power of that? Instead of attracting malevolent spirits with envy, attracting spiritual protection with joy for the good of others. But there's something Kolbe discovered, and few know, a secret he kept until his dying days. These 2 attitudes, complaint and envy, aren't just dangerous in isolation, they amplify each other, creating a deadly, vicious cycle. Someone who complains a lot starts to envy those who don't need to complain. Someone who envies a lot starts to complain about their bad luck. It's like a downward spiral, sucking away spiritual protection until the person becomes completely vulnerable. Kolbe saw this happen. Good men turning bitter, devout followers losing their faith, saints transforming into shadows of their former selves. It all started with small complaints, petty envies that grew, multiplied, until they completely dominated the person. Do you recognize this pattern in someone? Perhaps in yourself? Moments where complaint and envy feed each other? That's a major red flag. The moment to act, before it's too late. Because there's a point of no return. Kolbe discovered that too. When someone spends too much time in this spiral, spiritual practices lose their effect. Protection becomes almost impossible to regain. But you still have time. If you're hearing this, if something inside you is reacting, it's because there's still hope. What Kolbe couldn't do for all the prisoners, you can do for yourself. Now, today, this very moment, the first step to breaking the cycle. Stop fueling what consumes you. Stop complaining, even if it's difficult, even if it feels forced. Replace each complaint with gratitude, each murmur with praise, each criticism with a blessing. The second step, stop envying what isn't yours. Start celebrating what belongs to others, as if they were your own victories. It might seem impossible at first. Kolbe thought so too. But with time, with practice, it becomes natural. It becomes automatic. It becomes an impenetrable spiritual fortress. Now you need to decide. Will you continue to fuel what destroys you? Or will you choose the path Kolbe tested in the hell on earth? Because what you choose in the coming days will determine what kind of influence will have access to your life. And there's more that Kolbe discovered. Specific details about how malevolent spirits operate, how they approach, how they gain ground, secrets that could save your spiritual life. But before we continue, I need you to understand something fundamental. What I'm about to reveal isn't for just anyone. It's for those who truly want to protect themselves, for those who are willing to change. Kolbe discovered something the church hid for decades. The exact moment malevolent spirits managed to approach. The specific time. The precise conditions. Are you ready to know? It was 3 a.m. when Kolbe was awakened by screams in the concentration camp. A prisoner was being tormented by something invisible, something only he could see. The Nazi guards laughed. They thought it was madness, despair. But Kolbe knew it was different. He observed for weeks, always the same time, always the same conditions, always the same victims. The people who complained the most during the day, who envied others the most, between 3 and 4 in the morning, became vulnerable to something terrible. Kolbe called it the hour of the spiritual hunt. Have you ever woken up at that hour, for no apparent reason, with a strange feeling, as if something were watching you? It's no coincidence. Malevolent spirits choose this moment because our spiritual protection is at its lowest. Our conscious mind is switched off. Our guard is down. But Kolbe discovered something even more terrifying. It's not just at that hour that they attack. It's when they do reconnaissance, when they map our weaknesses. During the day, they observe. They identify who complains the most, who envies the most, who is most vulnerable. At night, they approach, to test, to probe, to see how far they can go. Have you had recurring nightmares? Always with the same theme? As if something were trying to teach you to be afraid? Kolbe discovered that these aren't just dreams. They are attempts at infiltration, rehearsals for a greater possession. The good news is that there is specific protection. A prayer that Kolbe created specifically for this hour, for this vulnerability. But before I teach it, I need you to understand how to identify if you're already being observed, if you're already in their sights. There are 5 unmistakable signs that Kolbe documented by observing hundreds of cases. First sign, increasing irritability without apparent cause. You wake up irritable. You get nervous over small things. You explode for any reason. Kolbe noticed something specific. This irritability comes with a physical sensation, as if something were pressing on the back of your neck or whispering angry thoughts in your ear. The person feels like they're not themselves, but can't stop. Second sign, repetitive thoughts of revenge, even against people you love. Fantasies of getting revenge, of making others suffer. The most frightening thing about this sign, Kolbe observed that the vengeful thoughts always come with precise details, elaborate scenarios, as if something were teaching, instructing, preparing the person to act. Third sign, unexplainable desire to argue, especially about religion, about God, about sacred things, as if something inside you wanted to blaspheme. Kolbe discovered that this desire comes in waves, specific moments where the person feels an almost irresistible compulsion to attack faith, to question God, to mock sacred things, and then they repent, but can't avoid it the next time. Fourth sign, disturbed sleep with specific dreams. Dreams where you're lost, or being chased, or doing things you would never do. The dreams have a particular characteristic. They are always in the same sequence, always with the same elements, as if they were lessons, training, preparation for something bigger. Fifth sign, the most dangerous. Secret pleasure in the suffering of others. Disguised joy when someone does badly. Satisfaction with the misfortunes of others. Kolbe called this sign inverted joy. The person begins to feed emotionally on the pain of others, as if the misfortune of others were fuel for their well-being. It's the sign that the malevolent influence is already deeply rooted. If you recognized 3 or more signs, you are in real danger. Kolbe would say it's time to act immediately. But if you recognized all 5, Kolbe would say it's almost too late, that you need professional spiritual help. Beyond the basic practices. Now, the burning question. How did Kolbe develop such specific defenses? How did he know so much about the dark side? The answer lies in a letter he wrote 3 days before he died, a letter the church tried to hide. This revelation only surfaced decades later. In that letter, Kolbe confesses something shocking. He himself was attacked by malevolent spirits multiple times from a young age. That's why he knew so much. That's why he had such effective defenses. He was a survivor, a veteran of spiritual warfare. The first time was when he was 16. Kolbe was praying when he felt a presence, something whispering blasphemous temptations, urging him to abandon his faith. He almost gave in, almost dropped out of the seminary, almost chose a different path. But something saved him in that moment, a discovery that changed everything, the prayer that will save you too. Kolbe realized that malevolent spirits have a fatal weakness, a vulnerability they can't overcome. They can't withstand genuine humility. True humility burns them like holy water on demons. So he created a specific prayer for moments of attack, for times of vulnerability, for situations of danger. The prayer is simple but powerful, tested in extreme situations, proven in the laboratory of suffering. When you feel inexplicable irritability, when you have thoughts of revenge, when you want to argue about sacred things, pray like this: I am nothing before you, Lord. I accept my smallness. I accept my weakness. I accept that I need protection. Immaculate Mary, cover me with your mantle. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend me in battle. May humility be my armor. May gratitude be my shield. Simple as that. Kolbe tested this prayer hundreds of times, in desperate situations, when the Nazi guards tortured him, when he was being prepared for death. It always worked. It always brought peace. It always drove away the darkness. But Kolbe made an astonishing discovery about this prayer. He realized that it doesn't just repel malevolent spirits. It completely disorients them, as if it created a spiritual fog around the person. The malevolent spirits simply lose the ability to locate someone praying with genuine humility. He described it like this in his secret notes. True humility makes the soul invisible to the hunters of darkness. They look for the shine of pride, the light of arrogance. When they don't find it, they become blind, lost. They go away. But there's a secret to this prayer, a detail that makes all the difference. The order of the words is not random. First, acknowledge your own smallness. This disables pride, the main entry point for malevolent spirits. Second, accept your weakness. This eliminates the pretense of being strong alone, another favorite doorway for darkness. Third, ask for protection from Mary, because she is the #1 enemy of all malevolent spirits. They flee at the mere mention of her name. Fourth, invoke St. Michael, the warrior expert in spiritual battle, the general of the armies of light. Fifth, transform humility into armor, gratitude into a shield, the two defenses that malevolent spirits fear most. Every word has a purpose, every phrase has power, Every element is a specific barrier, Kolbe wrote in the secret letter. This prayer saved more lives than any weapon, protected more souls than any army, but there's a condition. It needs to be prayed with genuine humility, not as a magic formula, but as a real acknowledgement of one's own vulnerability. Malevolent spirits detect ease. They know when it's pretense, when it's just fear, when it's not genuine. Only true humility repels them. The humility that accepts being small, being weak, being dependent on divine protection. Now I'm going to reveal something that could change your life forever. The specific time to pray this prayer, the moment of maximum effectiveness, at 2:30 in the morning, 30 minutes before the hour of the hunt. When your protection is low, but your consciousness is still functioning. Kolbe discovered that those who pray at this time create a shield that lasts 24 hours, a protection that renews itself every day. Seems difficult. It is. Kolbe thought so too. But he developed a strategy. Drink a glass of water before bed. Your body will wake you up naturally at the right time. Pray the prayer. Go back to sleep. In 3 weeks, it will be automatic. In 2 months, it will be natural. In 6 months, it will be a part of you, and the malevolent spirits will give up. They will seek easier targets. They will leave you in peace. But there's one last secret, the most important of all. What Kolbe considered his most valuable discovery. The two attitudes that attract malevolent spirits, complaint and envy, can be transformed into their exact opposite. Complaint transforms into prophetic gratitude. Gratitude for what is yet to come, for what God is preparing. Envy transforms into powerful intercession, prayer for others, asking for blessings for those you once envied. This transformation is not just defense, it's attack. It's a spiritual counter-offensive. Kolbe explained the mechanism like this. When you give thanks prophetically, you are declaring absolute faith in divine care. You are shielding not only the present, but the future. You are creating a protective bubble that extends through time. For example, instead of complaining about difficult work, be grateful for the promotion that is yet to come, for the opportunity that is being prepared, for the growth that this challenge is generating. And when you intercede for those you envied, something extraordinary happens. Kolbe discovered that this attitude completely breaks the obsessive connection, as if it were impossible for darkness to approach someone who prays for others. It's like taking the energy of envy and converting it into fuel of light, into the power of protection, into the strength of blessing. The malevolent spirit that was feeding on your envy suddenly finds itself facing prayers of blessing for the person you envied. It's as if the poison transformed into medicine, hatred into love, the curse into a blessing. Kolbe tested this in the most extreme moments, when he saw other prisoners being released while he remained. Instead of envying them, he prayed, asking for their protection, safety for their families, success in their lives. The result was immediate: inner peace, spiritual shielding, absolute protection. Kolbe discovered this in his last month of life, when he was in the starvation bunker, surrounded by absolute despair. Instead of complaining about the injustice, he thanked God for the salvation that was coming, for the eternal freedom that was approaching. Instead of envying those who would escape, he prayed, asking for their protection, blessings for their families. The result was extraordinary. Even starving, even in extreme suffering, he radiated peace, tranquility, light. The other prisoners noticed. The guards were disconcerted. Something supernatural was happening. Kolbe had discovered the definitive antidote, the complete cure, the absolute protection, and he left it recorded. For those who had the courage to apply it, for those willing to transform weakness into strength. Now you have everything. The two attitudes that attract malevolent spirits, the 5 signs you're being watched, the protective prayer, the specific time, the ultimate transformation. You have the complete map, the total arsenal, the strategy tested in hell. Only one choice remains. Will you remain vulnerable, or will you become impenetrable? Because after today, after knowing what you know, you can no longer claim ignorance. You can no longer say you didn't know. The responsibility is now yours. The protection is in your hands. Your spiritual future depends on your decisions. Kolbe did his part. He uncovered the secrets, he tested the defenses, he documented the strategies. He survived hell to teach you. He died a saint to inspire you. Now it's your turn to choose the light, to reject the darkness, to become unreachable. Because maybe, just maybe, you too have a mission, a battle to win, people to protect, and you need to be prepared, shielded, strengthened, like Kolbe was. The door has always been open to evil, but it has also always been open to good. It depends only on you. Which one will you choose to walk through? The time to decide is now. The moment to act is today. The opportunity to change is this. Don't waste it. Don't delay it. Don't ignore it. Your spiritual life, and perhaps the lives of many others, depends on your choice at this moment. Choose wisely. Kolbe is rooting for you.